Welcome to another edition of Grace Under Pressure, where my guest today is Leslie Ehm. This LinkedIn Live show focuses on grace under pressure, what it takes to deal with life's tough issues, but do it with compassion and commitment for others. And when you do it as a leader, and Leslie helps leaders do this, you work to bring people closer together and you energize them for the good of all of us. Leslie, it is a pleasure to have you. Welcome.
Oh, so glad to be here, John. This is great. Coming to you from the cottage, bringing you the country vibe today.
Oh, that's cool. Leslie Ehm is a former television host and ad creative director, and she spent the last 13 years traveling the globe with her award-winning training company. She works for the biggest of the big names, one of which is Google. She's doing some work for them. She helps entrepreneurs and executives and top companies learn how to be themselves in a genuine way, embrace their, what she calls superpowers, find their voice, and the word she uses, be the badasses they were determined to be. So, and her new book is an Amazon #1 bestseller, Swagger, Unleash Everything You Are and Become Everything You Want. Leslie Ehm, welcome to Grace Under Pressure.
Such a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad to be chatting with you, John.
Now, I have to be honest with you, because when the topic of swagger came across my transom, I said, that's the last topic that I'm going to cover, because my topic is grace. But then I got an explanation of how you define swagger, and I think we are aligned. So tell me about what swagger is, Leslie.
Well, when you hear the word swagger, you automatically think of that peacocky, arrogant, show off, in your face kind of thing, which nobody likes. That is not good swagger. That is bad swagger, old swagger. I have redefined swagger as the ability to manifest who you really are and hold on to it in the face of all of that psychological crap that's going to come forward, regardless of the situation or environment. So it means you've got one face, one truth, one heart, and you show up with it no matter what the circumstances are, no matter who you're with, and no matter what challenges you might be facing. That is swagger.
That's right. Well, we were chatting before, and shame on me, I did not know that you were Canadian. And I was telling her, I have spent a lot of time in Canada and have worked in Canada. And I love Canadians. And one of the things I always say is that you're just so nice. And so when I discovered you wrote a book called Swagger, I go, are you really Canadian, Leslie? So tell me about that. So,
well, I've lived in a lot of places. I actually moved to the UK from Montreal when I was 19 years old to pursue my dreams of being a singer. And I lived in the UK until I was, I guess, 35 or 36. So it's a long time, like 17, 18 years. And so I'm actually British in my soul. All of my cultural experiences, all of my adult cementing experiences are all rooted in British culture, even though I know I don't sound like it, because, I already knew how to talk when I'm very suspicious of people who move to another country and in like 2 years they have an accent. I'm like, what's that all about? That's so weird. So I lived there, and I lived a lot of life there. I was a TV host there for many years. I worked in the film industry. I had an amazing time. And, the Brits are like the Canadians to a degree, but I think it's down to the individual. I was raised by amazing parents who taught me a lot about holding on to who I was and being unapologetic about who I was, being a good human first, but then not conforming. I was not raised to be a conformist in any way, shape, or form. So I was very, very, very lucky. So my swagger was intact from day one.
Great. But there's the qualifier, and that's the difference. You just said what your parents taught you was, quote, become a good human. And that kind of persona, kindness, compassion, one does not typically associate with swagger. So I like your definition. And you talk about something called manifesting who you truly are. What does that mean, Leslie? So.
Well, we all come into this world a swagger-filled badass. You ask any kid, they're going to tell you they're smart, they're beautiful, they're amazing, they're funny. They can be anything. They can fly to the moon. They could be a princess. They could be the president. And then life has a way of sort of inexorably kicking the crap out of us. We start to get these messages from the people around us. They can love us very much, but their messages can be inadvertently limiting. Be careful, don't take too many risks, play it safe. I don't know if that's right for you. All of those things that we're told. And then we go to school and we hear those limiting messages again. Conform, be like everybody else. We're going to measure your sameness as opposed to your uniqueness. We have relationships that teach us to look for external validation. We go to university or college, and again, we get those messages. And then we go into the workforce, and those messages are yet again reinforced. And before we know it, or it feels like, we wake up one day and we say, who am I? What happened to me? Where did I go?
I think you said a key point in there. Of course you did, because you said it. But it's seeking external validation. So we kind of go along to get along, which is not always a bad thing. But if we sublimate ourselves, and I think that's what you're saying is happening. Am I correct, Leslie?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because we as human beings are conditioned to move away from pain and towards pleasure and acceptance. We're tribal by nature, so we want to be accepted by the tribe of humanity, the tribe of work, the tribe of community, and so we start to believe that anything that makes us different, makes us unique, is the stuff that potentially can have us cast out of the tribe, the collective, and so we stop accepting those things as being our superpowers. And then we get into the no diversity of thought world. We get into the vanilla world. We get into the, nobody sticks their head up above the crowd. Nobody takes risks. No one gets heard. And this is not good for people. This is not good for business. This is not good for success, for innovation, all of these things. And yet we as individuals we tell ourselves this story that nobody could accept us in our more raw, more unfiltered, more authentic version, because we see it happen around us where people get a beat down for not towing the line, and we go, "Ooh, I don't want that to happen to me. That's a bad thing," but we forget that the greatest leaders, the people who are the most successful, are those who at one point in their lives go, "You know what? Actually, I am good enough the way that I am. And I believe that I can be who I really am and model that for other people and help to unleash all of their potential, because this is the only way I can unleash my own potential." Because remember, all that stuff you leave off the table that you think is the messy, human, flawed, not so shiny stuff is actually your power core. It's key to helping you get to that next level. And when you discard it as something that's going to be unacceptable to other people, you lose your mojo, you lose your momentum, and ultimately, I believe you lose your power because you're giving it away to other people.
That's a very good point. And that's why you say that confidence plays a role in swagger. Where does confidence come from?
You see, people believe that confidence is this holy grail. If only I could be more confident, then everything would go incredibly well for me. And it's a fallacy. The only way that you can, so what happens to people is they will go through the fake it till you make it. That's the story they tell themselves. They go, I'll fake it till I make it, because then I'm going to look more confident. And if I look more confident, I can convince people that I am more confident, and then eventually I will get there. The problem is, though, that the only way we can experience true legitimate confidence is as a result of true legitimate competence. Only by doing something over and over and over again and convincing our very resistant brains that, "Oh, I got this. You could throw me into a whole bunch of situations and I will be able to tread water. I know that I have the skills," and so on and so forth, And when you go through that competence leading to confidence thing, you become unshakable. People could question you and doubt. You're like, "Actually, I do know what I'm talking about. This is where I am in my journey, and I know it, and I can own that." But when we go into the fake it till you make it thing, we shut down the greatest opportunity we have for competence building, which is the ability to ask for help. We cannot grow alone. It's not possible. All of us, if we all did a little recap of our lives, there will have been key individuals all the way along our path who showed us, mentored us, led us, modeled, whatever it was, the things that we wanted to be better at. And we watched and we learned and we sat at their feet. Sometimes we watched from a distance, whatever it was. And when we do the fake it till you make it, we can't ask for help because we're running around telling everybody, oh, I got it. I already know it. I'm so there, all the rest of it. And so this is it's a big, big, big problem, is that people have a really hard time owning where they are in their journey right now. And as if there's some shame around that,
Yes. No, and I think that's such a key point, because on the surface, confidence does not lead one to ask for help. But as you explained, life is a journey. We don't get to where we go by ourselves. And so we all need an assist. And that's not a blemish. It may be a sense of self-confidence. I would like to say it's a sense of strength. Would you?
Oh, yeah. Like it's also, remember that when you ask for help, it is a gift, because you're saying to another human, I think you're amazing. I think you have skills and talent and knowledge that is super valuable. And I would love to have, the knowledge is not like an apple. It's like if I give you, if I have an apple and you have an apple and I give you an apple, now you have two apples. But when you think of it like knowledge, we're going to be exchanging apples. We both still have an apple, right? So when you go to ask someone for help, first of all, you're celebrating their journey, what they have accomplished. And you're also going to teach them a great deal as they teach you. That's the way that it works. We learn from teaching other people. So we forget that it's flattering, it's affirming, it's reinforcing. And if you're really, really smart, when you ask someone for help, you do it with the whole, hey, you're amazing. I really want to learn from you and so on. And then you turn around to everybody else and you tell them how you managed to develop the skills that you did through the grace of these individuals who helped you, and how they helped to make you better, smarter, stronger, faster, and you name check them, because now other people go, oh, I want to be name checked by her. She has such generosity of spirit. You celebrate the crap out of the people who help you in this life. Plus, you're validating the fact that you've learned all this amazing stuff.
And here's something which you and I are aligned. I always think that confidence comes from our comes from our competence, but also credibility. Others believe in us. There's an exciting dimension to confidence, and I know you teach this. It's what you do. It's when a leader or a person, an authority, whatever, inspires others to do better, to do their better work. We see it in youth sports, coaches, players getting, quote, motivated to do it. So it's when you become more confident, you have the ability to share it and instill it in others. Would you agree with that, Leslie?
Oh yeah, because when true confidence, because of what comes with true confidence, it's so unselfish. That's the beauty of it, is that when you feel good in your skin, when you are good, when you have a huge degree of self-acceptance, and you can't have confidence without self-acceptance, not possible. That's the thing, is swagger is much more about self-acceptance than it is ultimately about self-assuredness, because you accept that, yeah, I'm going to screw up. Yeah, I'm going to make a mess. Yeah, I'm going to have moments, but it's all good. It's not going to end me. It's not a disaster. And when you feel like that, it really elevates your generosity of spirit. And you want to help others. You want to share with others. You want to make others better. The greatest leaders in the world are those who want to see the people around them ultimately transcend where they are. They want them. I mean, there's no greater gift for a true leader than watching someone move on to a position that is even higher than their own. And they celebrate it. They go, yes, I helped this person to reach their true potential. This is amazing. Like that, for me, that is my sole purpose in life. Helping other humans unleash their potential. That's all I care about.
I like the idea of the self-acceptance, because knowing where you are and what you can do, your pluses and your minuses, which ultimately are your legacy. But and one is, and as you illustrated, when one is self-confident, there is an ability to accept oneself as he or she is, correct? So
Yeah, I mean the thing, is, as the great RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And also, only through self-acceptance do we stop that dreaded cycle of external validation seeking. Okay. Because right?
Yeah. Now there's a topic here, and how does assertiveness either differ or complement the idea of swagger?
Mm-hmm. Well, swagger is going to manifest in whatever way is natural to the individual. There's not one way to show up with swagger. It's not about that front. It's not about persona. It's not about any of that. If you're an introvert, if you're geeky, if you're intellectual, if you're playful or goofy, your swagger is going to manifest that way, and you're going to be comfortable with that. You're not going to feel like you can't be playful in a meeting because it's going to limit or minimize your credibility, for example, because you're like, that's just the way I roll. And I know how smart I am. I know how competent I am, but I'm also playful. That's part of my true self. And so I'm not going to dial it down for somebody else. I mean, it's not, we also get, authenticity gets a bad rap because people often say, well, it's an excuse to run around with your hair on fire screaming, I must speak my truth and y'all gotta like it. And that is not what it's about. It's not. Professionalism and authenticity are two completely separate things.
No, I'm glad you say that, because I've written a lot about authenticity, and I call it your earned authority. But always that question is, what if you're a jerk?
If you're a jerk, you're going to get what you deserve. That's the beauty of it, is that if we all lived a more authentic life, then the jerks in this world wouldn't get a lot of traction, because everybody would be going, excuse me, unacceptable. Excuse me. No, you're not getting traction here. No, we're not going to give you people to manage because you're a jerk. I think that's why truth, intention, and self-belief are so key to swagger, because if your truth is to be a like if that you're going to get what you deserve. If your intention is to be a you're going to get what you deserve, and ain't nobody going to pick you up off the ground. People aren't going to surround you and protect you. It's going to be like, yep, see ya.
Leslie, we have people who are begging to ask you questions.
Oh, yes,
one
please.
From Prashant came through, and he said, can swagger be cultivated and nurtured? And from where does it come?
Absolutely it can.
I knew you would say that.
I think
first thing is to read your book, which is the title, please. So
the title is Swagger: Unleash Everything You Are and Become Everything You Want. Also a Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller. Just wanted to plug that. Was very un-Canadian of me, but gotta speak my truth.
I'm asking. I'm not sure you're Canadian. So,
so I think there are a couple of things. At the end of the day, only the individual can make the decision to unleash their swagger. That's a personal decision and a journey that they're going to take. However, if they're in particular, a work environment where they don't feel like the environment is safe, or they don't see authenticity or swagger modeled in other people, and they've learned by experience that whenever you poke your head up a little, you get it smacked down again, they very quickly get conditioned to not bother trying. But if you think about the logic of this, if you've got 100% of an employee, 100%, and they're choosing not to bring their full self to the table, to the party, because of those fears that they're not going to be accepted for who they really are, you're getting let's say 60% of the individual's power, persuasion, brain power, commitment, courage. That's 40% that you're leaving off the table. That's a lot of human power to be just foregoing. So what we need to do as leaders is, first of all, to model it, to reveal the gamut of your humanity to your people. A lot of people have a lot to say about leaders can't show vulnerability. That's such a load of crap. I mean, you don't want to break down and cry and say, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna lose our jobs. It's all probably not good to scare people or freak people out. Not good to be indiscreet. with knowledge that you shouldn't be sharing. That's got nothing to do with it. But you've got to speak your truth. You've got to be open. You've got to be willing to talk about your own fears, your own shortcomings, the things that you've experienced in your life. You've got to stop expecting that shiny, glossy front from people. And you've got to shut it down when people have a hate on for each other's foibles, for their quirks, for their idiosyncrasies. And we need to be respectful of each other 100%. But just because we're different does not make us disrespectful, So I think modeling it is first, and then slowly but surely encouraging it and reinforcing it. Like having people in for those one-on-ones and saying, I really want you to tell me the truth. I can take it. And then you got to take it. You got to hear it and listen. You got to learn how to up your communication game so you set the stage for those kinds of candid conversations. And, when you model it and when you celebrate it, when you see it, your people will very quickly learn that this is an environment where they can truly shine and thrive, just like they learned that they can't do it because of what they've seen around them. So it's really that they have to unlearn the negative stuff that they've seen in the past.
No, true. Now, so often women feel, and unfortunately deservedly so, feel underappreciated in the workforce. Can cultivating a sense of swagger be beneficial for women?
Oh, yeah, because women have had enough. I mean, this is the thing is that, a lot of people have asked me about, is it harder for women to manifest their swagger and so on? And I tend not to speak in absolutes because I think every woman is different. Every woman's experience is different. But I think that in a typically male-dominated environment, women have learned that they need to sort of walk and talk in the model of what they're seeing in that more male-centric behavior, because it's easier for men to accept. That's really what has happened. Often women are mysterious to dudes. They don't really understand how we operate. They don't understand a level of emotion. They're very nervous about the fact that women tend to have faster connection between their brains and their hearts, their emotional systems. They can process emotion far more quickly than the average guy, not every guy, but the average guy. That's scary to men because women can be on it very quickly, whereas, men tend to take a little more time to process and so on. And when you're in an environment that's male dominated, everybody's doing that. So no big deal. But then here comes the women who are like, okay, let's do it, let's feel it, let's act on it really quickly, and they're bringing emotion to the table unapologetically. So there's a lot of things that make it super complicated. So I think that we are the stories that we've told ourselves for years, right? And
yes.
if women could tell themselves the story that they are somehow less than their male counterparts, or the things that make them unique and amazing as women have no place here, and so on and so forth, then that's going to stick with. That's a horrible feeling, to feel like only a part of you is accepted. And I also tell women, look, you fight for as long as you can fight, and when you've had enough fighting, go somewhere else. Because they don't deserve your fine ass, Like if it really is so entrenched, that toxic male culture, you got to go somewhere else. And I think that's what happens to a lot of women, is they just get so tired of fighting that they pack up that 40%, they lock it away, they save it for other things, for their passions, for their side hustles, for whatever, and they come in and they still do good work. Yeah. But you're not getting the truly superpowered women. And you see the environments that celebrate and embrace that superpowered female, and those organizations are on fire, because women rock.
No disagreement from me. Now, one thing, and you and I had this chat beforehand, you are, my word for you would be cooped up in a digital world, but our digital presence is very critical. So what role does swagger play in our digital presence, Leslie?
Well, if there is one really bizarre sort of side effect, like positive side effect of this last year, it's that we've had to kind of drop the front of that shiny exterior. We are all a hot mess, and we got to confess that mess because we're allowing people into our homes. They're seeing our backgrounds. Our kids are running around, the dog is barking, but all of this stuff is happening. And that, that heavy coated persona that we used to put on every morning to go to work, it's too heavy. We can't do that when we're home. So we've kind of let it go a little bit. And so I think that's a good thing. I think that there's a massive amount of fatigue as well. And again, you see what happens, right? As people retract and they start to protect those parts of themselves. Camera off, fake backdrops. They're trying to protect their little inner sanctums, But the thing that we forget is that whenever we have the opportunity to be in somebody's space, this is my philosophy. You gotta make it entertaining for them. Right? None of us have to be here.
Yeah, define entertaining in this context.
Yeah. So. Well, remember that this little square is it's a screen, just like all of our screens are. Whether it's your phone, whether it's your iPad, laptop, TV, whatever it is. And ask yourself, what do you like to look at? Do you want to look at this? So I'm just gonna hold on. Do you want to look at this for and if I talk like this, and it's, do you want, no, see, nobody wants to do that. So you got to think about it. This, my TV background came in very handy that you have an opportunity to take your energy to the next level, not change who you are, not pretend to be someone that you're not, but intensify your energy because now you're having to transcend this medium. You're having to transcend it and show up. Almost, I imagine I'm putting myself in the office, in the living room, in the dining room of other people. And it has to feel the exact same as if you and I were sitting across the desk from each other. That's my responsibility to do that, And if everybody takes that responsibility, then you think about how much livelier. And yes, it's going to be messy and we're going to talk over each other and blah. Who cares? Who cares?
Well, part of it, what? It might be two words to sum up. And it's for both parties, not just one. It's show up. Would you not? In other words, put yourself forward. Be present in the presence.
You know what, John, I know that you live this. This is not a rehearsal. This moment that you and I are having together right here, it's gone. It's gone. We'll have it for posterity, which is cool, but it's gone. We'll never have that beautiful moment of connection and the last words we said to each other. And I live my life with that philosophy. I go, you only get one go around the carousel. You don't get a do-over. So instead of wishing that I could have a do-over, and I will ask for a do-over in my life, it's a very important thing to do. If I'm not happy with the way a conversation went, or an encounter, or a meeting, or an interview, or whatever it is, I'll go, can we have a do-over? Because I want to leave something of quality. That's my intention. I want to leave things that are of quality.
Let me circle back. You have the ability to do that. To say, can we have, this is not going the way we wanted or intended, or I can do better. You have the confidence, AKA the swagger, to say that. Am I right, Leslie?
Well, how am I going to get better if I don't take the do-over? If I didn't get it right the first time, it tells me that I am lacking somehow in some area of competence. Because I'm not going to blame somebody else. I'm not going to go, John, you were a crappy interviewer. What's wrong with you? No. My responsibility. I got to own. No, I got to own my part of it, right? I've got to be a great interviewee. And so if I feel like I didn't bring my A game, if you're in a meeting, and you consistently walk away from meetings and you're always saying, oh God, I wish I would have said blah, blah, blah. I wish I would have raised my hand. I wish I would have said that out loud. I wish I would have questioned that. How many times are you going to do that before you take action? How many times? What you are telling yourself is, I am not contributing the way that I want to contribute. I'm not showing up the way that I know I can show up. Because if that was the best that you had, you wouldn't have the thought of, I wish I had, or I could have said something or done something differently. It wouldn't occur to you. You would have gone, great meeting, awesome, right? So
right.
when you hear that voice in your head constantly saying, I wish I could, and why am I holding back, and why can't I speak my truth, and I should have challenged something, and whatever. When we're trying to develop that swagger, one of the best things that we can do, even if we're taking those baby steps, is after that meeting where we say, I wish I would have or could have. You can't have a do-over for that meeting necessarily, but you can go and circle back to the person who you felt could hear that truth best and who could benefit from that truth best, and go and say, you know, I really wish I would have put my hand up in the meeting. I didn't, but this is something that I wanted to share with you. Sometimes that's even smarter to do, because it might have been the fear of what, you know, what the dynamic was in the room that stopped you from speaking your truth in the first place. But you always have those opportunities to rectify.
Great. And I'm glad you clarified that. Unfortunately, time is racing past, and we could go for another 30 minutes. But I always ask our guests a story of grace. And I know you have something to share. So, Leslie, what is your story of grace?
I'll probably cry when I talk about this. I kind of warned you. So I am the adoptive parent of two beautiful girls from China. And this was a choice that I made. I'm capable of having children to the best of my knowledge. But I felt very, very, very strongly that I didn't want to make more babies when there are already babies in the world who needed parents. And so I said to the universe, okay, bring me my children. There is no, it's going to cry, there is no greater act of grace than when the universe gives you your children. And you are gifted these fully formed little humans to raise and to you know, to love and to give them the opportunities that they just couldn't have had otherwise. And so so I always cry when I talk about my kids, because it's mind blowing. You know, it's a mind blowing thing to say to the universe, okay.
Well, you're able to cry on camera because you feel comfortable and confident to do it.
And it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a beautiful thing, to understand one's own capacity for love, and to know that that you made a choice that made a difference beyond all comparison.
What a great story, Leslie. So how can people find you? So
you can check out, you can watch me cry in all kinds of places. You can learn more about what I do at leslieehm.com. That's LESLIEEHM.com. You can learn more about the book at swaggerthebook.com. And I also, you can watch me cry on social media. I do it all over the place. Come and play with me on Instagram at Leslie Ehm Speaks, or on LinkedIn at Leslie Ehm, Twitter at Leslie Ehm. I'm all over the socials. I have a good time there.
We will put your website in the notes for that, everyone. Leslie, you have been a terrific guest, and it's my honor to have you. And thank you for sharing your time, because I know you're very busy and you have lots of things to do. So I'm grateful that you shared time with me. So thank you.
John, pleasure was all mine. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I would do it for you again. If you ever want a do-over, just let me know.
All right, Leslie.